good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, of course, depending from where you're listening to my voice. So, ladies and gentlemen, the preacher who preached today was very, very vocal, and he created this audio topic for me. He said, and I quote him, Nigeria government should pray that nothing happens to Nnamdi Kanu, or else there will be consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, the preacher, man of God, who is very, very, you know, uh, clear-headed. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't under any substance abuse. He wasn't smoking ganja or under the influence of any other thing. But he came in the midst of, over 700 parishioners, believers. He told them, Nigeria government should pray that nothing happens to Nnamdi Kanu, or else there will be bitter, bitter consequences. And so the gentleman went on, the preacher went on, to elucidate. He said, look, it really worried him. It worried him very, very, very deeply that the man came out and told the government, applied for a medical review of his system. I mean, it's not easy for such a socialite, such an international figure to come out crying, begging, appealing for his life. He said, but Nnamdi Kanu took it upon himself through his lawyers and applied, appealing to the government to please move me from the DSS, dungeon, move me away from this contraption of the DSS and take me to the General Hospital, National Hospital, Abuja. In fact, the clergyman was very, 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 very unhappy to hear that. Look, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu did not appeal to be flown aboard. He didn't say, take me to London, take me to the United Kingdom, take me to the United States, or take me to France, like most Nigerian leaders are doing. If you recall, he told us, if you recall, the last president, PMB, late PMB, was always junketing from here to London, Paris, London, Paris, London, Paris, like he was going to Sokoto. He said this man, in the 8 years that he was a president, was virtually living in France or London hospitals. Ditto equally, he said, this is what the current president, the man who says, I am the Jagaban, the man who says the Milokon, the man who says it's my turn. This is equally his retinue since he took office, since he became the head of administration of this country, in the month of May. Ladies and gentlemen, the preacher told us these last two uh, presidents, this one, the late one, and the current one, were junketing to London, to Paris, to Germany, to the US, like they were going to their back doors. Yes. And of course, they were going, spending taxpayers' money for every so-called health challenges they had, whether it's real, whether it's imagined. But the most important thing is they were always junketing, globetrotting, and in fact, many a time, like the PMB who is late now, he was virtually ruling Nigeria from London hospitals. And the preacher said, it amazes him. He's highly flabbergasted at the fact that Mazen Namdekanu applied to be taken to a hospital at Abuja, National Hospital Abuja, for proper medical checks, for proper medical attention, for his organs to be fully, diagnosed, and where he can have a breather of air and enjoy at least a better medical care. But what has happened? Of course, the whole request, the application has been politicized, and of course, the judges are playing tambourine. They are playing all kinds of, games with Mazen Namdekanu's life. Of course, if they don't say the time is short, his application was short, if they don't say judges are on vacation, if they don't say, well, the vacation will soon be over, of course, the judge, like what Justice Musa Liman did, he washed his hands off and said, look, I'm transferring, sending back your case to the Chief Justice. Go back to John, Tahor. Go back to him. Let him reassign the case to any other judge. The vacation is over. Judges will soon be on their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the clergyman said it baffled him. It was really wicked because nobody jokes with health. Health is one of those things, someone's health is one of those things that you don't joke with. In fact, even prisoners are granted opportunities to take care of their health. Even people who are short, even robbers are sent for medical, attention, no matter what their cases, is or would be. But he said, because of the hatred, because of the politics, and because of the insensitivity of the Nigerian Federation against, especially Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the Ndibo in general, Biafrans in general, they have continued to treat anything concerning Mazen Nnamdi Kanu with such levity, with such dastardly uh, 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 frustration. Of course, they want to frustrate the man. They want to kill him. They want him to die in DSS custody. They want to frustrate him. They want him to either recant. I no longer believe in Biafra. I no longer support Biafra. Please let me go. Let me go. I'm tired of this suffering. That's what they want the man to do. But the clergy clearly reasoned. He said, but they are making a mistake because Nnamdi Kanu that I know is a Jew. They never go backwards. They never go back to their vomit. Nnamdi Kanu has said, Biafra must be let loose. Enough is enough. The plight of Biafra is known to everybody. People have been suffering. People have been victimized. People have been subjugated. People have been marginalized. People have lived on subhuman, existence for a long time. People have been denied opportunities to achieve or develop themselves. People who have been prevented from assuming the highest position of the land when it comes to them to win elections, when it comes to them to take positions that are deliberately sidelined, maligned, and pushed out with reckless abandon. The clergy said, but listen, Mr. Jagaban, listen, all of you, including the DSS, listen, Dr. Justice James Omotosho, listen, Justice Musa Lima of Vacation Court. No matter what you people do, let me tell you, and I'm saying it not because, of course, I'm a man of Biafran extraction. No, not because I'm from the Southeast. I'm telling you, the whole world is watching. I'm telling you, world leaders are watching. I'm telling you, international organizations are watching. I'm telling you, OAU is watching. United Nations is watching. The European Union is watching. I tell you the truth. The 47th president of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, is watching. If anything, and he made emphasis, said, if anything, and he repeats, if anything happens to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, I promise you there'll be consequences. I promise you there'll be dire consequences. If anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu, then he's assuring Nigerians that everybody who contributed to it will be sorry because there will be dire consequences. Because of course they would then know that one, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is an international citizen, a man who enjoys dual nationality, both Nigerian and both British, a man who is known as a peaceful freedom protester. Nobody should kill him. Nobody should allow him die just like that because the consequences will far outweigh any other considerations. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you have been following us, but if you have not, please pay attention. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's health has deteriorated to an abysmally low medical condition. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's liver is no longer forthcoming. It is no longer functioning, well. Mazen's pancreas is no longer doing its job. The whole thing has continued to deteriorate because, of course, back to back for the past 5 years, he has been, under excruciating, painful conditions, inhuman conditions at the DSS dungeon, such that his health have deteriorated. Every time he's eating, he's avoiding food because he's afraid of being poisoned. Because, of course, when you are kept by your enemies, when you're surrounded by your enemies, when nobody visits you, and even if anybody visits you, there are microphones put everywhere. There are video clips, CCTV cameras watching you, even when you use the gents. That means, of course, you are in trouble. That means, of course, you are living a very painful, excruciating life. Very abnormal. Yes, very abnormal. And so this gentleman, for the past 5 years, he has been in the DSS dungeon since his rendition from Kenya. And it has been a tug of war for him. What to eat. The poor man would always look here, look there, many a time avoiding his food. He's not eating. And I hope you know at one point in time he reported that he had gastric ulcer. Not just the gastric one, but an ulcer that has completely torpedoed his biological systems, especially his stomach and digestive systems. This is a man who is perpetually taking drugs to aid, to relax, and to ease the pains and agonies of his ulcer. Now the case has quadrupled. It has graduated. Now it is liver and pancreas. These are two fundamental organs in the body that are not easily replaceable. These are organs that determine everything about your system. It determines whether you eat. Determines whether you go through digestive system. It determines whether you go through all the characteristics of a human being. What we call Mr. Niger. Mr. Niger. I don't know if any of you remembers what Mr. Niger is. Of course, a big M, an R, and NIGER. But of course, that is an abbreviated form of telling you what the human being's characteristics are as against non-living things. Mr. Niger, I call it. Of course, if you want to know, the M, of course, is for movement. The R in the Mr is for reproduction. Then Niger, of course, starts with the big letter N, and that is for nutrition. The I is for irritability, because every living thing, engages in irritability. Of course, they respond to stimuli. That is for the I. And the G is for growth. The E is for excretion. And the R is for respiration. Maybe the R should have come for Mr., the R before Mr., or the R that ends Niger. So Mr. Niger for short is an acronym for the characteristics of human beings. And like I said, the M is for movement. The first R for Mr. is for respiration. And then the N for Niger is for nutrition. He has to feed. The I in Niger is for irritability, response to stimuli. Of course, the G is for growth, and the E is for excretion. Excretion. The final R is for reproduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Niger is no longer working effectively in the body of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. And so this preacher, this clergyman said, listen, the Nigerian government have been playing deaf ears, playing blind, playing deaf ears to the plight of this man who has been in the DSS custody for longer than necessary. This is a man that appeal courts of this federation, Nigeria, had once several times acquitted and discharged of any charges. But of course, the government still took him to the Supreme Court. The government still appealed against high-level court rulings just to frustrate him, just to dehumanize him, just to ridicule him. But of course, now the consequences are getting very serious because, for no reason at all, this man, because of a concomitant, unfavorable environment or milieu where he has been put back to back, subjected to, imprisoned, if you like, for the past 5 years, the poor guy has started suffering. His organs have started deteriorating quickly, very, very fast. Yes, because of course, the Mr. Niger in him, the characteristics of a human being have been totally abrogated. There's no opportunity for movement, no opportunity for exercises, no opportunities to exercise himself or, to move around. What we see is a confinement to a space, confined in a solitary position where he rarely gets visitors. Even when his lawyers want to meet him, they have to apply. They have to apply. They have to wait and wait and wait before they are granted a meeting with him. And when they meet him, of course, microphones are put everywhere, so that the poor man cannot even tell his lawyers what his health condition is. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the clergyman has said he is warning Nigeria authorities. Nigerian government should pray that nothing happens to Nnamdi Kanu, you know, or else there will be severe, dire consequences, both locally and internationally. It is then they will know that a madman has friends. It is then they will know that a madman has brothers. It is then they will know the formidable position Mazen Nnamdi enjoys in the southeast. Because of course the clergyman was blunt about it. He said, "Let me tell you, market women will protest. Yes, the civil servants will come out. Igbo traders will come out. Everybody that has anything to do with Igbo land will come out. We don't care how many bullets will be shot at us. We don't care how many live bullets will be shot at us. We don't care how many tear gas will be sprayed on us. We don't care if bombardment squads are all over the place. We will come out and we will fight. We will destroy. We will make sure the government realizes that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is a great personality, is a king in Igbo land. And of course, he is the godfather, godfather and convener of the ridiculous sovereign United States of Biafra. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you're feeling now. I don't know how you're feeling now. But imagine when you are moved by force, kidnapped, if you like. They call it rendition. You were kidnapped, changed, gaggled, injected to remain still, and you were forced under very human conditions into a plane. A plane, you that came with your visa, with legitimate documents into Kenya. You came, you had your visa, you had a legitimate stay, you had booked your hotel, and you came for a legitimate business. And from nowhere, there was a conspiracy. Conspiracy between Nigerian government and, of course, Igbo saboteurs, our own kid and kin, who sabotaged Nnamdi Kanu. There was a conspiracy. Because of this conspiracy, he was kidnapped, shackled and chained like a common criminal, like a slave, common criminal, injected and forced into a plane. Sometime last week we talked about when a lawyer came out and said, look, people should stop comparing, quoting the case of Asari Dokubo and the Nigerian government. They should stop quoting it in the matter concerning Nnamdi Kanu and the Nigerian government. No, he said rather, what you should compare Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case is Umaru Diko and the Nigerian government. And of course, the barrister told us that, look, he brought our recognition. He brought the story back again to life, how Umaru Diko, the one-time high Nigerian politician who was in charge of rice, in charge of supplies, in charge of so many things. But how, because of maybe graft, maybe because of corruption, maybe because he fell out from the powers that be, then had to, stow away. Yes, he went into exile in London. But of course, the Nigerian government sent, spies, spent their brigade of boys. Of course, they did the same thing, used all their efforts to, bribe the British authorities. And of course, they were able to trace Umaru Diko in London. And they grabbed him, abducted him, kidnapped him, if you like, injected him, put him inside a crate, chained him hands and legs, and took him into the plane. Just about the time the plane was about to take off, already the story had come to Nigeria that Umaru Diko had been gagged, he has been created, and he'll be in Nigeria, arriving at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in less than 7 hours' time. But at the nick of time, just about that instant time that the plane was about to take off, one of his aides, his aides alerted the British authorities. And of course, the British FBI acted immediately. Once they suspected he was inside the plane, they stopped the plane, told everybody to get down. Get down from the plane. This plane is a crime scene, potential crime scene. Everybody get down. We want to check luggage by luggage. We want to see what it is carrying. Ladies and gentlemen, by that special adventure, Umaru Diko was discovered in the crate. That was how he was miraculously, quote and unquote, if you call that, immediately, of course, because of the pathological love of the British people for the Hausas. That was how he gained this freedom. Rushed to the hospitals, and of course, Nigerian government was totally, completely excoriated by the whole world. There was shame on them. Everybody who was somebody shamed Nigerian authorities for resorting to such brutal, brutish, and primitive manner of arrest of such a political, uh, uh, a highly political placed gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, the lawyer made us realize that yes, if you want to talk about Mazen Nnamdi's rendition in Kenya, the same way he was abducted, the same way he was kidnapped, if you like, shackled, chained, drugged, and brought into Nigeria under very inhuman conditions. Imagine a flight you came into shackled and chained all the way from Kenya to Nigeria. And as soon as he got here, the DSS were waiting for him, subjected him to further inhuman treatment, beat him up, and threw him into darkness for several days. He was in dark. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know what Mazen Nnamdi Kanu went through, you would not imagine what he experienced. This man was brutalized right from Kenya, beaten blue, forced into a plane, drugged, shackled, chained. And then when he landed here in Nigeria, the DSS took over and subjected him to all kinds of wickedness, torture and all that, and dumped him in a secluded cell, dark cell. He was in a solo cell and he was there languishing and suffering. It's not surprising that his health has deteriorated. He could have even have died if he wasn't a strong breed, if he wasn't a Jew who has subjected himself to several years of fasting, several years of non-alcoholism. If he wasn't a strong man who maintained a good health standard, he could have died immediately. And so that was his fate. That was his fate, unfortunately. That was what happened to him, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. And now, back to back now for the past 5 years, he has been suffering. He has been suffering to the extent that his health has been fully brutalized, fully deteriorated. And he is almost at the point of, I don't want to say death, but he's suffering health-wise. His livers have packed up. His pancreas is almost packed up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fate of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. And this is what the lawyer said. Don't compare Nnamdi Kanu with Sari Dokubo. No. Quote Umaru Diko. Quote Umaru Diko. Yes, that is it. Then you know the dimensions this matter has taken. Ladies and gentlemen, the clergy has said it all. You better watch it, Nigerian government. If anything happens to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, then you'll be sorry. Because of course, Nigerian government should pray that nothing happens to Nnamdi Kanu, or else there will be severe consequences. You'll be surprised what will happen. The whole organs of government will suffer it. The machinery of the judiciary will suffer it. Because even the trader in Aba, even the trader in Owerri, even the trader at Onitsha will fight for Nnamdi Kanu. All intelligentsia, wherever they are, will suffer in the hands of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. The whole Southeast will fight our Southeast governors, will fight our Southeast legislators, will make sure even the government at the center suffers without fear or favor. Ladies and gentlemen, the clergy preached it and it touched me. I think I'm looking forward to next Sunday again. I'm going to go to this man's, church. Of course, I have to go there. I like people who talk the truth. I like people who say the truth. No matter whose ox is God, we need to know the truth at all times. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's health is in jeopardy, is in a state of peril, and the government is playing lip service to it, is playing politics with it. If anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu, then the government will be sorry. There will be mass consequences, very bitter consequences, very brutal consequences, and of course, not just locally, but internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, let me leave it here. It's early Sunday. Let us enjoy our Sunday. Let us pray for Biafra Republic. Let us pray for Dr. Ngozi Arabueze to continue to navigate Biafra to, amongst the community of nations, so that one day, very soon, of course, we would all shout, Eureka, Eureka, and we'll proclaim, and of course, claim champions to the redeclared sovereign United States of Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we're with you all the way. Your health will not kill you. Our prayers go to you. Everybody who is a prayer warrior, everybody who is an Igbo man, a real Igbo man, prays for you. Except those who don't know their history, who don't know their culture, who don't know where the rain started beating them. Of course, they will not know where it ended in them. But I'm happy the Biafra Superstars Media is praying for you. All of us here praying for you. Our listeners are praying for you. And we know Yahweh is for us. Nothing untoward will happen to you. It's just a matter of time. All these trials and mistrials will be a thing of the past. Just a matter of time. And we shall celebrate your victory. Victory over darkness. Victory over wickedness. Victory over lawlessness. Victory over the haters of democracy. Victory over haters of Biafra. God bless you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Take care and God bless.
Yeah, check me out. Superstars Media. Lord Lugat, Bloomington, Lord Lugat, and it's Wild Flora Show. 1914 amalgamation is what we dying for. 3 nations to 1 nation, ever since annihilation. Nepotism is nonsense. You and you, clap your hands. Biafra gonna come, clap your hands. Biafra, Odudua, we're free now. Freedom is gonna come, we're free now. Yeah.